Hi everybody, Luke Filmboss here. This past weekend has been extremely exciting. First off, the DC fan event, DC Fandom, was live on Saturday into Sunday, and that was an incredible event. But what I'm most excited for is the fact that movie theaters are reopening with the release of Unhinged this past weekend. Movies are finally going to be released in theaters, and I will be able to go back to my normal movie-going experiences. That being said, due to COVID-19 shutting down movie theaters earlier this year, a lot of the 2020 movies were rescheduled to later dates. So this video is my ranking of my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2020 post-pandemic. In 10th place is Dune. Now, Dune is a strange movie to be on this list because I really don't know much about it. One of the draws for me is the director, Denis Villeneuve. He did movies like Arrival and Blade Runner 2049, which I haven't seen but I've heard are really good, and so I kind of want Dune to be the movie that introduces me to him because I've heard that he is a great director. Also, this movie has an all-star cast, the highlights for me being Zendaya and Jason Momoa. And overall, just the concept. I know that it's like a space alien planet type movie, and just what I know of it, I think it is a cool premise, and so I'm very excited to see this when it comes out. In the number 9 spot, I have Connected. Now, Connected is an animated movie that pretty much centers itself around the concept of families being on their phone and technology too much, and it's done by directors Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who worked on the Lego movies, and so I'm very interested to see what they do with this one. They also worked on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, so they are very good at making creative animated films, and this one looks like it will be another fun, enjoyable ride from Phil Lord and Chris Miller. In 8th place is Soul. Soul is going to be the latest Pixar movie to be released. The animation looks top-notch, and the story looks overall pretty good. But the problem I have with this movie so far, by what I've seen through the trailers, is that Pixar just seems to be now taking random ideas that aren't even extremely clever. It's like, it was clever when they did it before, like taking emotions and then exploring a world of emotions, but now it seems like they're just trying to copy that, like, ooh, what else can we take? Ooh, how about exploring a world about people's souls and stuff? And it just doesn't, the premise doesn't really seem to be super creative to me, even though it's one of those films that typically would seem like one of those big creative Pixar films. For me, it just isn't drawing me in as much as other Pixar films would, but I'm still looking forward to seeing what they do with this film. Number 7 is No Time to Die. The latest James Bond film that was supposed to be released in March is going to be coming out in November, and I have not seen any of the James Bond films. I will probably be doing a binge watch of the modern James Bond films like Casino Royale, Skyfall, and Spectre before going to see this film. But it just looks like a good film, and I enjoy spy movies like the Mission Impossible franchise and the Bourne series, so I'm excited to get involved with the story and world of James Bond. Number 6 is Disney's Mulan. Now, at the beginning of the year, this was in my top 3 most anticipated films, but as COVID hit and the delays continued to happen, it kind of fell for me, especially when Disney announced that it was going to be released on Disney Plus and not in theaters. I am a movie theater kind of guy. I like to see them on the big screen, and so I wasn't very thrilled when I heard that I would have to pay $30 to see it in my own home when I could spend like $6 to $10 to see it on the big screen. But I do respect Disney's choice to release it on Disney Plus because it was a smart move by a business standpoint, and I hope that it works for them, and I'm still very excited to see what they do with this film. Number 5 is The New Mutants. Now, a lot of people have probably forgotten about this film. The first trailer was released in 2017, and its release date has been moved like 5 different times. And I was excited for this film when the first trailer dropped, and then with every new release date, it kind of started to fade for me. I really stopped caring. But with the pandemic, I started noticing this film a little bit more, and my anticipation for it built up slowly to now where it is in my top 5 most anticipated films of the year. One of the main reasons is that this is going to be one of the first films to hit wide release in theaters post-pandemic, and it will be the first wide release since the pandemic started that I will be seeing in theaters, and for me that is just a very exciting thought that I am going to go back to the movie theaters and experience a movie for the first time in a while. And so that is why New Mutants is at the number 5 spot for me. Number 4 is Black Widow. It's an MCU movie. What more do I have to say? But realistically, I want to see Black Widow because she deserves her own movie. I love the fact that they are paying her tribute with giving her her own movie. She was one of the few Avengers who gave her life in Endgame, and it's only fitting that they honor her with this movie. Also, it has Taskmaster as the villain, which is a big plus for this movie. Also, while this movie is essentially might seem pointless because it takes place in the past and we already know that she dies, I'm sure that Kevin Feige and all the other writers and directors knew what they were doing with this movie, and so there's probably a lot of Easter eggs and story points and elements that are going to impact the future of the MCU in a Jurassic way. So I am excited for this film. Even if it's not my most anticipated film, it's definitely high on my list. Number 3 is Tenet. Now, at the beginning of this year, this film wasn't very high on my list of movies that I wanted to see. Yes, I was excited for this movie, and I liked the trailer a lot, but I really didn't grasp the concept that this was another mind-bending Christopher Nolan movie, because at the time I had only seen the Dark Knight trilogy from Nolan. Since then, I have seen Inception and Interstellar, 2 great movies that blew my mind with their emotional and storytelling and visual mastery. Christopher Nolan is an artist filmmaker, and watching how good he is at making films, not only with his amazing Dark Knight trilogy, but with his other films, that really rose the anticipation for this film, and I can't wait to see what mind-bending, reality-shifting creation he has come up with this time. In the number 2 spot is Death on the Nile. Now, I loved The Murder on the Orient Express. I genuinely thought that it was a great murder mystery, and that movie teased this movie, Death on the Nile. And I heard about Death on the Nile before watching The Murder on the Orient Express, and so when they teased Death on the Nile in that film, my mind was blown. I had no idea that Death on the Nile was a sequel to it, and so my expectations and anticipation shot up. And then the pandemic hit, and I kind of forgot about this film. But then, a few days ago, the first trailer for it landed, and it got me super excited for this film again. I even considered putting this film at number 1, but it falls short to the alternative, which we will talk about in just a moment. Really quick, I just want to give some honorable mentions to The Kingsman, West Side Story, Top Gun, and Free Guy. I am looking forward to those films this year. And now it is time for me to give you my number 1 pick, and if you haven't figured it out yet, you should probably go look at the release schedule. With that, let's go to number 1. At number 1 is, of course, Clifford the Big Red Dog. I have so much nostalgia for this film. I grew up watching the animated show Clifford the Big Red Dog on PBS Kids, and I can't wait to see what they do with this story on a live action movie. Yeah, I just can't. No. But in number one for real is Wonder Woman 1984. I loved the first Wonder Woman movie. It was spectacular in my eyes. And so I have been waiting for this film ever since the day I left the theater of the first Wonder Woman. The trailers have been spot on for me. The reason this movie is at number one over Death on the Nile is because of the event DC Fandom, which dropped the second trailer for this film, and it blew my mind with what they showed us. I am just super excited to see Kristen Wiig's Cheetah face against Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. It is going to be a fabulous movie, and even if it's not, I am super psyched for this film. So there you go. Those are my top 10 most anticipated films of 2020. Please comment below on what your most anticipated films of the year are. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to help you be on the lookout for more videos from Luke Film Boss.